And we're here. David Diggs, Rafael Casal, interviewing the two co-stars and writers of the brand new movie Blindspotting. It is a pleasure to be with both of you. Pleased to meet both of you.
Oh, sir.
Inspiration.
Thanks for
Pleasure,
having us,
pleasure.
man.
Right now in Oakland, we're kind of having like this film renaissance of a sort between Blindspotting is coming out very soon, Sorry to Bother You just dropped, Black Panther. We're kind of having this new Oakland renaissance that's happening with a lot of great films, but this has not always been true. You know, Oakland has not always been in the film spotlight. So both of you growing up in Oakland, you know, not seeing role models to look up in the film industry, how did you both kind of decide this is what you wanted to do?
You know, we had a band. I was doing spoken word stuff and deaf poetry and all the youth speak stuff. We have all that stuff in the band. We have this self-sustaining ecosystem of a local ladder to climb. The idea of a movie didn't come from us. It came from some producers out in LA, Jess and Keith Calder, who found my stuff on YouTube, and I introduced them to David, and we sort of all decided to make this movie about the Bay together. But they fell in love with the way they found poetry videos of mine, and the kind of language that is in that is very much like a Bay Area way of writing.
And once you start doing it, you start looking at films a little differently. You start seeing technique. And to be fair, we also used to, the way you do in the Bay, we shot all our own music videos, we edited all our own stuff, all our own music too. We recorded ourselves, we mixed ourselves. I mastered a couple things poorly. You learn how to do it yourself. Rafael's a beast editor and ended up doing that for a long time, as a profession too. And directing and in LA, hiring me as PA on gigs and stuff when I needed money, things like that. So
We was broke out here.
Everybody was broke. So I think eventually you look around and you're like, well, actually, we do sort of have all of the tools of a filmmaker. We just never.
You have to assemble it.
Yeah, and we never thought of ourselves as filmmakers, but. Once you start making a film, then you're a filmmaker.
Yeah, I definitely bought it. I thought it was great. Obviously you two have been homies forever, just freestyling and kicking on the block. I don't think you're really even homies with somebody in Oakland if you've never freestyled with them.
That's what we be trying to tell them, man. They don't, people think it's novel elsewhere. But that's just some real town shit.
It's some real town shit. And, I was sitting there in the movie and I was wondering, because it flowed so naturally, I was like, is all of this written? Were all of the verses written? None of that was freestyled?
No. The biggest freestyled section is that the story that Utkarsh Rin in the film tells about why Colin went to jail, the sort of flashback scene. He improvised all of that language pretty much. We gave him a script and he ignored it. And his was better, so we went and shot his version.
To get to verse to work on camera, we had to know that we had good ins and outs, and we had the appropriate punchlines, and we had the I wish we were that good at freestyle. But no, it's all meticulously scripted.
Being creative with language is a very Oakland thing. We're proud of how we speak there. We're proud of the language that we create. Y'all know. So having what we felt like was a thing we'd never seen before was characters who are proficient in language and who are experimenting in it, but don't have aspirations of being writers or poets.
What made you guys decide that this movie was a really good way to tell the story of gentrification, and why is that the story you wanted to tell?
I think we wanted to tell an honest story about Oakland and the East Bay. I think that was the catalyst for where the movie ended up. That is just what's happening here, and so we can't ignore it, right? The themes in the film are just a reflection of what we felt like were the most prominent elements of the story of the town in transition right now. We wanted to make a time capsule piece about Oakland, so that when Oakland is very different in 10 years, we all have something to look back at and go, this is what it felt like when I was there. but gentrification, you can't talk about gentrification without talking about police violence. You can't talk about police violence without talking about gentrification. The things that our community are going through and dealing with on a regular basis, that people are in their, we can't show a scene with Miles and Ashley and their kid in their house and have them not talk about the economics of trying to stay there and the hustle of trying to maintain their place and put their kid to school and all that. The minute you start trying to give them things to say, they talk about the things that are around them, right? So much of our process was deciding who these people are and letting that dictate what happened, So I don't know that we wanted to talk about gentrification necessarily. We wanted to talk about the Bay Area the way that we know it. The Bay Area is going through massive gentrification. To not talk about it would be a disservice to the form.
One thing I noticed, we're from youth radio, and when we were watching this movie, there's the scene where you guys are at the party, and Colin's talking to his homegirl, and she says, "Oh yeah, this is my homie. We used to work at youth radio together," and we're all sitting in the theater like, "Hey!" Like, they shouted us out. Is there a particular reason why you went for youth radio as an organization, that was what you wanted?
It's another Oakland staple. My homegirl Maeve McGovern's mom is a big part of youth radio. And I know, like in Leon Sykes, we'd go over and do his radio show in that building all the time. And we know a lot of youngsters who've gone through that program. Again, every touch point we can.
Yeah, it's just about
what's another
specificity,
town thing we can throw in? What's another town thing we can throw in?
And that was a person we know, right? Like, we know folks who came up through youth radio, so it was a touch point that we knew we could be honest about. It's our first movie. We didn't trust ourselves to make everything up, right? In order to keep it real and honest, we wanted to use things that we actually knew. The other great thing about once we get on the other side of this sort of doing press for this film thing, the film can just exist on its own, is that we have so many other projects that we're working on right now still, and we'll actually have time to sort of sit in those and just sit back and see what the film does, But our sincere hope is that as many people who can go see Blindspotting, and then, there'll be many more. If you like this version of us working together, there will be lots more. We're not done making shit.
Yeah.
Well, tight. It's a pleasure to meet y'all. Once again, we here, David Diggs, Rafael Casal, Blindspotting coming to a theater near you. Come get it. Come watch it. It's lit. We out, y'all.